Amigurumi or crochet toys is not boring. In fact, it's anything but. Hi there and welcome to my channel. I'm Lucy Kate. I'm a crochet designer and I predominantly design crochet toys. A few months ago I was listening to a YouTube video and the presenter was answering some questions asked to them by their audience. And one of the audience members asked them about crocheting toys or amigurumi. And the presenter said it was boring. That was it. Amigurumi, crochet toys, three-dimensional crochet written off with that one word as though it's like a homogenous single thing in crochet. Like, I don't like making amigurumi because it's dull. It annoyed me more than it should have done. So in response to my overinflated sense of indignance to this throwaway statement about an entire range of topics and subject matters that is really quite a big part of my life, today I'm going to talk to you about exactly why amigurumi is not boring. In fact, is anything but. When you make crochet toys, you are working in 3 dimensions. So you are sculpting an actual shape. And there is something that is so viscerally pleasing to me about working in this sculptural way. I have always wanted to be able to sculpt. I've had some goes at working with clay and tried various other ways of 3-dimensional art. They didn't work out for me in the same way as this. This is a way of making something, working in that 3rd dimension, where you can produce something really quite easily that looks really quite amazing from many angles. It's tactile! There is nothing like holding a plushie or a toy that you've made and feeling it. And 2-dimensional crochet, also great for texture purposes. There is something so pleasingly tactile about this craft. It's easy to design. Now, I'm not saying that to be down on my own design abilities, and I'm certainly not saying it to downplay anybody else's at all. But fundamentally, when you're making amigurumi, what you're doing is putting shapes together. I love shapes. Shapes make so much sense. And when you're thinking about making something like this manatee, which is a fun example, you just look at the thing you want to make, and because you're constructing it, once again, in 3 dimensions, you can go, okay, what 3-dimensional shapes make up this other shape? It's the way in which I'm given to understand a lot of people learn to draw. Another thing that I try really hard at and am not talented at. But the shapes mean that you can design something that on the surface is just a simple collection of shapes, but really clearly and concisely conveys the message about what it is that you're trying to create, and in a cute way. And as a factor of that, it lends itself to originality. Yes, you're making things that are just made up of other shapes, but there are so many different ways to construct those shapes, to put them together, to change and manipulate the proportions in order to make it give off a certain vibe. There are so many ways that you can enhance the things that you're making to produce something that is totally unique. Now, on no level am I against repetitive, flat, the same every time things. I am currently making an enormous granny square blanket designed to go over a king-size bed with just dozens more squares than I even realised I was going to need, and that is satisfying and brilliant. But this is always where I land in terms of passion, is amigurumi, because you can be different while still being the same and using this basic, in some ways, set of skills in order to be totally different. This isn't everyone's cup of tea, but another reason that amigurumi is so brilliant is that you can focus on animals. And surely, you know, there's lots of other ways that you can incorporate animals into designs in crochet, but biological sciences is a massive interest of mine. And being able to incorporate my passions in terms of animals into my passion in terms of my craft is just such a wonderful thing. There are also infinite character crossovers. Like, loads of people are really keen on Pokemon because they are really, really cute. And that's something that you can buy patterns from someone else for or incorporate into your own designs and make yourself, although there is tricky legal logistics around that kind of thing, trademark characters. But it's so great that you can create things that cross over with your other passions in that way, whether it's from TV or film or gaming or anything else. It's a great way to bring different parts of your life together. You can make gifts for everyone. And sure, Other gifts are available and many other things can be made, but there is something so universally liked about toys, especially small ones and keyring ones, right down from newborn baby toys, although supervision required, exceptions, rules, there's all safety things, I could make a whole video about that, all the way up to your great-grandparents. I am yet to meet somebody in my life who there wasn't a specific type of toy that I could crochet that would work for them, even if they are the most staid and straight-laced adult in the world. They're for everybody. And that being said, there's a huge variation in style, from these sort of simplistic, chunky, cute designs all the way to the perhaps sort of more complicated, detailed stuff like I try to design. Even within my own collections, you can see we go from straightforward, adorable panda. That's not a panda. Just said I like biology. We go from straightforward, adorable polar bear cub to the sugar glider pattern that I made, which has so much more detail and even more so than that. But also stylistically, you know, there's a huge range from cartoony, caricature-y type toys to those that are much more realism based. There's a lot of variation there. How can that be boring? Also, yarn under people, of which I'm not one, but I respect your yarn under choices. Yarn under people, there's their opportunity to do some serious yarning under. But the main reason that I love designing and making crochet toys is that it is never boring. Some people might feel that working in sort of relatively repetitive, increasing and decreasing circular patterns is not for them and they find it monotonous. And you know, we're all different at the end of the day. But for me, it's like crocheting in waves. You're following these undulations in the pattern. You're shaping and sculpting them in and out and adding sort of pinched peaks and troughs to create different shapes. You're sewing pieces together in new ways. You're combining them to make them something different to anything else. And the creativity of that, to call it boring as a topic, I just don't think that's fair. We all like different things, and of course some people will be bored by things that other people are excited by, but to say I'm bored by something, I feel semantically and emotionally is very different to say something is boring. And I am, for obvious reasons, not going to link to the video that I'm referring to. It was ages ago. I really like the content of this person. Otherwise, it's all in good humor. But I do think it's indicative of a bigger issue within the world of crafting, where we're placing judgment on what other people enjoy. And I just think that we shouldn't throw that word boring around. And maybe we should say it's not my cup of tea instead. But maybe that's just me. What do you think? Maybe you do actually think it's boring. And if you have in the past found it boring, then I encourage you to have another go and try a different type of three-dimensional crochet, a different type of pattern, something more complicated, something more simple. See what works for you. I genuinely think if you like crochet, chances are you're going to love making toys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I can't wait to see you there.